As I just said, looks like we've got quorum now. And I'm going to call the meeting to order Monday, December 8th at 7:06 p.m. This meeting is being conducted by Zoom through the webinar format. So I am going to take a roll call vote. Val Lynn,
Here.
Katie Williams,
Here.
and Carol has been here. And Jody Shu, our other member, cannot make it tonight, but we do have a quorum. We also have Melissa Santucci Rosie, our town planner, and our new planning assistant, Christine Brown. So first, before we start with our regular business, we do start our meetings with citizens' comments. Are there any citizens here who would like to make a comment up to 2 minutes long on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? I don't see anybody.
So Nina says it's her, but she has no audio or video.
I just promoted her. So hopefully she can. Oh, awesome.
There she is. Yep, there
Sorry
she is.
about that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, Nina.
Sorry, Nina.
I don't know why I don't show up with my name, but anyway.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and I think that's it for okay.
Yep.
So, seeing no hands raised for any sharing of thoughts, I am going to go to agenda item number 2, which is our regular town board business. And agenda item 2A, it is with my utmost pleasure that I welcome Christine Brown, our new planning assistant, to the planning board. And I'll let Melissa say a few words and then a few words from Christine.
Thank you, Carol. Delighted is an understatement. We are a department now. We have more than one person. Christine was one of 36 candidates that applied for the planning assistant job. We combed these resumes. We conducted 6 first-round interviews and 2 second-round interviews. And Christine really stood out with her 11 plus years of municipal experience, including zoning board of appeals, doing licensing, and eventually working in human resources, and all skills that really lend well to the work that we do for the planning board in the townhouse, serving the board and also the residents of Dover. So I'm just delighted. She's been with us for a week. She hit the ground running. Not even going to be able to recognize the office soon. So very excited, and I'll turn it over to Christine, but we're really, really happy to be able to provide what we need to the community. Thank you.
So I'm, like I said, Christine Brown. I come from Walpole, next town over, it's not too far. And I am very excited to be here with the town of Dover. I've really enjoyed what I've learned so far. And it's just been such like a nice welcoming community. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Christine. And I've had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Christine, and I echo Melissa's words about how wonderful it is to have you on board. And I hope you'll have the opportunity soon to personally meet the other members of the board as well.
I hope so. That'd be great.
Yeah. So I should mention that Christine's hours are going to be a little different than Sue Hall's hours were. So Christine will be working 4 days a week, but leaving at 2:30 in the afternoon. So that will give us great coverage. And I'm really glad that worked out as well for you, Christine.
Oh yeah, works out perfectly.
Us as well. So with that, we'll go to agenda item 2B, which is a public hearing on the amendments to the Planning Board Regulations, Chapter 240, the accessory dwelling units. So this being a public hearing, I am going to open the public hearing. And if anybody wants me to read the notice, I will. Otherwise, we'll skip that step. So seeing no desire to do that, we'll just go ahead. And I'll turn this over to Melissa. She'll give us a review of this. We'll then ask for any public comments, if there are any public. Then we'll vote to close the public hearing. We'll talk about it from planning board's discussion, and then we'll vote on it. So, Melissa.
Excuse me. Thank you, Carol. As mentioned by our chair, this is a public hearing. This hearing has been properly noticed in the Hometown Weekly, as well as mailed to the abutting communities here to Dover. And what we're doing is, typical term housekeeping, cleanup. As most of you are aware, we updated our zoning bylaw in the May 2025 town meeting to be in compliance with recent state legislation. And the second piece of updating the bylaw comes with updating the regulations. And I apologize to the members. Some of this material came a little bit late. And most recently, if you haven't had a chance to take a look, I have it up on the screen here today. Carol had sent me some comments that I overlooked when I was putting together the packet. I went back and took a look at Carol's comments and went back and updated the draft. Carol had some punctuation and things, so we cleaned that up. Essentially, what we're doing now is we're going from attached and detached to just ADUs. There is no distinction any longer. There is no separate permitting process any longer. We are simply permitting accessory dwelling units. We have one later this evening through a preliminary site plan review application. Those applications will be made online, similar to all other applications now in the town of Dover. And again, you'll see the word preliminary added quite a few times, and you'll see attached and detached removed. One of the other items we also took out was the residency requirements. As folks are aware, the ADU, anybody can live in the main house, anybody can live in the accessory dwelling unit. So that's one of the major changes from when we used to quote, reference them as in-law units. Cleaned up a little bit, just so things are clear with, are you going to be using an existing structure on site, or are you going to be adding on to the primary structure, making sure we get the appropriate elevations and plans to reflect where the ADU will be located on the property. And then what we had done was the last section of the regulations is completely removed, because that was the section that talked about detached ADUs and the special permit process. So now that we are just sort of in a by right mode with the preliminary site plan review, that's in fact what the regulations state. And I can review any other sections, answer any questions. I have also updated, I will do a different share screen when the time is appropriate. The motion, the suggested motion now references revision 2 dated December 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public folks in? I don't see anybody. Let's see. I'm assuming the attendees are not here for this part of the ADU agenda?
Nope.
Okay. In that case, I'd like to take a vote to close the hearing. And we'll take a roll call vote. Val?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
And Carol, yes. Okay, so is there any further discussion by planning board members on the document that Melissa has described and shared with us?
No, just for clarification, Carol, it's mostly because of the state requirements that we made the substantive changes, correct?
Right, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
To the bylaw that was the bylaw amendment that was approved at the Maytown meeting.
Right. Okay.
Referencing the Affordable Homes Act.
Mhm.
Okay, seeing no more questions or comments from planning board members, I'll take to a vote. And let's see, Val, could you play the role of motion giver
Sure.
or speaker, you could say?
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay. To approve the amendments to Planning Board Regulations, Chapter 240, Sections 240-1 and 240-2, and to remove in its entirety Section 240-3, as filed with the town clerk on November 13th, 2025, with the text as most recently amended in revision number 2 dated December 8th, 2025.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Katie. We'll now take a vote. Val,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
and Carol, yes. Okay, thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
One down from the town meeting in May.
Yep. Oh, I love it.
So we'll move on.
Yep.
We'll move on to the next agenda item, which is a site plan review preliminary for an indoor riding arena and horse paddock at 54 Farm Street. And let's bring in whoever is here.
Yep, I
And
just
who is-
promoted Scott and Lisa, who Scott is the engineer and Lisa is the property owner.
Welcome.
And I will pull up my report.
Thank you.
Just gonna find, I have a lot of documents here waiting to go. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, let me get to the top here. There we go. Okay. All righty. Through the chair, we have a preliminary site plan review application for Lisa Raphael, trustee of the Summer Breeze Realty Trust. This property is located at 54 Farm Street, and it's located in the R2 zoning district. And portions of the property are in the GW1 overlay protection. And we also have portions within the 100-year floodplain. No work will be occurring in those portions of the lot, but important to note the status and any particular overlays. So the application was filed on November 5th, and the application includes the construction of a 22,774 square foot indoor riding arena. There is a 2,500 square foot loft inside of the structure, extensive exterior paddock areas with both individual horse areas and a large grassed area. Learning a lot about horses. The project also includes expanding the existing driveway. The expansion of the driveway will be gravel, which will come off of the main driveway. When we get into the plans, we can show it a little bit better. And also a very detailed and well-designed stormwater management system is also incorporated into the plans and designed by Grady Engineering professional engineers. What we have here in the diagram of the staff report is the GIS, the Dover GIS, and I just wanted to show this property is located about 3,300 feet, linear feet off of Farm Street. A lot of the property that is surrounding this particular piece is owned by the Conservation Commission and has conservation restrictions on it. And there are some other developed pieces you can see closer to Farm Street. We have a pretty detailed list. A lot of materials were provided. The materials that weren't provided were provided when we reached out to Scott over at Grady Engineering. He provided all the materials right away. So what we have here now on the screen, and let me see if I can just zoom in a little bit, is the full picture of the lot. So at the bottom of the screen, you can see the resource areas, which are not being disturbed whatsoever as part of this project. And then on this particular screen, we'll just call it north, is the area where the work is going to take place. So you can see the extension of the driveway where I have my cursor that goes into the new gravel parking area, the interior structure, riding arena here, in this particular area. And then we have some paddocks here. And then we have bordering the Algonquin easement, where you see all these little sort of half circles, is the area where the grass paddock is going to be for the horses. This photo is just a little bit closer up of the limit of work. This was also part of the site plan package, where you can see the items I just spoke of a little bit closer and a little more detail. I did provide the full set to the members so that they could zoom in and out and get a better idea of things. And as you can see also, to the south of the structure in the paddock, we have some grading. So they'll be leveling out a little bit of the area and then doing a little bit of regrading so that they can get the structure in this particular area of the property. What I did, and I'm not an engineer or a surveyor, but I took the site plan and I scaled off this area. Is it 100% accurate? No, but it's a good indicator of where this will be located on the site. So that red triangle is the same shot that we previously saw from the site plan. And you can see the currently developed portion of the site. And then the red line that comes through is the Algonquin easement. So everything is going to be located above that easement area. The next set of photos that we have here is the floor plan. So in the top section, we have the floor plan for the enclosed structure. And then the little section in the bottom right corner is the loft plan that was referenced, 2,500 square foot loft. And then the elevations, which I have to say, this black and white doesn't do any justice. A couple different sample renderings. This is still sort of work in progress from a design standpoint, but just absolutely stunning. A really nice job. We're going to have board and batten. We're going to have shingles, and we're going to have some stone so that they can tie in the elements of the dwelling on the property to the riding arena as well. And then we get into sort of the findings. Carol, do you want me to just keep going, or did you want to maybe hear from the applicant?
You're reading my mind, exactly. So, Scott and or Lisa, is there anything that you'd like to say in general terms before we get into some of the specifics?
Yeah, hi there, Scott Fanar with Grady Consulting, representing the applicant. First of all, Melissa, this is wonderful. Most towns don't go this comprehensive with this overview, so this is really nice. I feel like you're doing half of my job for me here.
Trying to make it easy.
just a few things to note, mainly more so for the utilities. So the main house is separated from where this work is by that gas easement. So in part of that, that's the reason why we're proposing a new well to the rear, so this building can have water. We also discussed the use as far as it relates to the Board of Health for a septic system. So it wasn't feasible to tie this into the existing septic system across the gas line. So we did file for a new septic system, which has been approved by Jason. This project also was subject to, I think it's the Chapter 159 requirements for stormwater. So we met with the town engineer, Mike, in the beginning of the process here. And submitted these plans to him, and he has approved those. That's a pretty comprehensive stormwater management here. Although all the properties are fairly far away, we never want to create a situation where the increase in coverage is going to create a situation where water is just going to be rushing off the site. So we kind of have two-part design here for the stormwater system. There's one system to almost the front right of the building. Yeah, so to the front right of the building there, that's going to capture all the overland flow. So overland is all the stormwater that's going to go across the grassed area, across that gravel driveway. It's going to be collected through a couple of catch basins, and then the water will route it into that subsurface stormwater system, where it'll infiltrate into the ground. And then off to the right there, that is intended to capture all of the roof drain flow from the building. So the the building is going to either have, I think the building's going to have gutters here, and it's just going to be piped directly into that system. So anytime we're taking away any type of lawn or tree area, and we're creating a smooth impervious surface, we just want to make sure that that's captured. So yeah, otherwise I think Melissa touched on just about everything else here.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So Melissa, why don't we go through the findings then?
Yep. So for the board and those here with us this evening, we have our preliminary site plan review criteria in the zoning bylaw. And it's a series of criteria that we can evaluate this structure or this proposed structure in comparison to the neighborhood. The applicant is meeting and exceeding all setbacks. So the setback on the side is going to be 42 feet, where 20 is required, and the rear, I believe, is 245, where 40 is required. Another thing that's important to note is the applicant is keeping the entire setback intact in regards to tree removal. So there's a little bit of trees maybe that are already removed in the side setback. Excuse me, nothing else is coming down. And on the rear, they won't be touching anything in that required setback. Obviously, there's going to be clearing for the paddocked area and the grass horse area as well. Even with the new structure, we're still looking at only 6.4% from a coverage perspective, plus a state-of-the-art drainage system. So that's really going to be handled very well for this particular location. The driveway opening, as I had mentioned, is about 3,300 feet down along Farm Street. No changes are proposed. There's really not concerns. You might see a little bit of an increase in traffic for those potentially taking care of the horses and looking after them, but nothing that rises to a level of concern. The existing driveway, as noted, will be expanded with gravel, and there will be parking dedicated for the indoor riding arena. The location of the building is an appropriate location. It's out of the setbacks. It's probably as close to the main disturbed area currently that they could get it. Without going further into the lot and close to the resource areas. So a good location. And again, the materials being proposed along with the elevations provided will maintain the character and the aesthetic of the existing dwelling. As far as the provisions to protect the surrounding premise, the stormwater management system really sticks out, and preserving the vegetation within the lot setback is really the items that are going to eliminate concerns for detrimental impacts. Again, a lot of the property around this is conservation land and will not be developed. This kind of ties into one of my previous comments. The design of the parking and the arena is really taken into account the floodplain, the existing topography, abutting lands, soil conditions, and tree canopy. So the siting of the structure was appropriately done. As mentioned by Scott, the plan did go to the town engineer. They are subject to stormwater permit, obviously for disturbance, and there was a full erosion and sediment control plan provided as well that will be incorporated into the stormwater permitting. The parking, indoor riding, again, we talk about impacts to town resources, and there's really not going to be any. All the provisions for the utilities have been provided for, so above and beyond with all new systems and not tying into anything existing. We looked for the harmony with the architectural treatment. I've mentioned that a couple times about the materials and the elevations, and then the compliance with other requirements in the bylaw, and this checks all the boxes. So have also prepared a suggested motion in a series of conditions. Most of these are our boilerplate conditions. Number 5 is a little bit different. There is some 61A land, which is comes under the forestry and agricultural categories. Not an expert on that. Again, also learning that. And they are looking to make some modifications to that. So we just ask that that be taken care of and that the materials are provided to our assessor as well, so that we have a clear record of that and how that impacts the taxes on this particular property. Condition 6, again, just a reminder, we are in a residential district. This is accessory use to the residential. There can be no commercial or business activity permitted here. And then we have one of our newer boilerplate conditions that talks about the work hours in our general bylaw, chapter 93. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you very much. Planning board members, any questions for Scott or Melissa?
A couple of questions. Thank you, Melissa, for the overview. That was really thorough. But it wasn't clear to me, is there plumbing other than water? Is there also like bathroom facilities in the arena?
Yep. Yeah, so there'll be one bathroom in there, and then I think a rinse station. There'll be a couple of pipes underground that'll tie into that new septic system that's just to the, I think, the south of this building.
Okay. So Val, it's the top right corner. You can kind of see the outline of the sink and the toilet symbol.
Okay, got it.
Sorry,
Okay,
trying to
now
get
I
as
see it.
close as I can.
Thank you. No, that's great. And then am I correct that there's an existing barn that is not going to be removed from the site? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That'll remain.
So is there a change in the number of horses that are being housed? I mean, I was trying to figure out from the pictures and from this, I saw that there were, looks like some stalls in the arena. Is that right?
In the existing or the proposed?
Well, I'm assuming that there's some in the proposed, but I'm talking about or I'm sorry, I'm assuming that there's some in the existing, but I'm just curious with the proposed. I just want to make sure I'm reading the plans correctly.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
there housing facilities in there for horses as well?
Inside, yes, I believe so. I think it's shown on the architectural plan.
Okay. Okay, so if I'm looking at this correctly, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 housing facilities for horses. Is that right?
1, 2, 3. That does sound right, yes.
Okay, and do you know how many they have now?
Existing, no, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. And do you know if there is any change in the way that the horse manure is going to be handled if they're adding horses to that will be living on the property?
I am not actually sure how they plan to deal with that.
Do
I'm
we,
not sure if Lisa happens to be on, if she'd like to jump in and answer that one.
Lisa, you still on? You're
She
on
is
mute.
here.
Lisa, you're on mute. There we go.
I think I'm unmuted now. Okay.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
I currently have a dumpster system that's dumped once a week, and I would be using the same system for the additional stalls. It's a covered dumpster.
And there's like a company that comes and hauls it away at like once a week or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
A composting company, so they take the manure for that purpose.
Okay, great. And you said how many existing horses you have now?
I have 4 right now.
Okay.
2 are currently on the property, and then I have some additional retirees that will be coming home.
Great.
Oh,
Bring the
The se-
family back together.
It's a senior
Yes.
center.
Okay, and then I'm on the tree committee, so I can't help myself for asking this.
Sure.
Your grassed paddock, currently, is that all forested land?
Currently, it is forested, and that I've been in touch with both my forestry management person as well as the assessor's office on how we're going to take a look at handling that, whether those acres would just be simply taken out of forestry and then I could continue with the remainder in forestry, or if they're going to want me to make some sort of a change to the forestry plan. Excuse me, because typically they want 10 acres as a minimum. This would be a little over 8, which is not a problem for the forestry person. But I just spoke with the assessor's office about 10 days ago, and basically they said get through the planning board process, and then I can go back with them and figure out the best way to classify those acres. Currently, most of the cleared site was in 61A permanent pasture.
I think those were all of my questions. So is there anything that, Melissa, that we need to do differently? I don't think we have many 61A pieces that come in front of us. So I didn't know if we need a letter from the assessor since there's restrictions on 61A property. I don't know how that gets handled.
No, it's really not a zoning issue. I did have a lengthy discussion with Amy because of I wanted to let her know that they were going to be proposing to change this. And again, sort of the catch-all condition, I just want to make sure Amy, looks like Lisa's already been in contact, but that she gets what she needs and whatnot. So it's not so much a zoning issue, but it is a form of restriction that needs to be dealt with so that they can build the arena. And that's essentially sort of our involvement. So just making sure that that has been taken care of prior to the start of work on the site.
So we don't need to wait for the selectmen to provide us with an opinion, because isn't there usually like a right of first refusal or something that has to happen?
Well, that's if it's for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was if it was taken out of the program. No, only if it's for sale.
If I could just interrupt for a second, I think my understanding is the minimum to remain in the program is 5 acres. And I would still be far exceeding that. We're close to 9. So
Okay.
even taking the land underneath the building site itself, I would still be in compliance with the minimum. It's just a matter of, obviously that would now become a taxable portion of the property, which I already have some taxable, full tax acres. And then the remainder that would remain in 61A would be a reduced amount, but still stay in that classification.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure we're not stepping on anyone else's toes.
Yeah, no, I same Val, and that's kind of why I vetted it on with the departments because I'm just not 61A is new to me.
Right. Okay, I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
Yay. I just have one question. So who stays in the current single family dwelling that's on the property? Is that occupied? Oh, you do?
Yep. I renovated it and I live there full time.
Oh, okay. Sorry, because I looked you up on the street list and you were somewhere else.
Oh, I own another property down the street as well. Had a flood and had a catastrophic damage. So before repairing that, this place became available and I was looking for more room for horses. And so I focused my renovation on this particular property.
Oh, that was good timing.
It was.
Okay, I don't have any more questions. Katie, you have anything?
No, I don't.
Nope. Okay, well, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful facility.
Thank you.
And certainly many of our concerns usually have to do with neighbors and abutters, but that doesn't really apply here. So If there are no more questions, Val, would you mind reading the motion?
To approve the preliminary site plan review application for the expanded accessory uses and structures to include a parking area, indoor riding arena, adjacent building and exterior paddocks in all supporting materials referenced in section 2 of the staff report dated December 4th, 2025, with the conditions contained there within. Number 1, prior to the issuance of a building permit, minor modifications of the approved site plan and supporting materials may be approved administratively by the planning board chair. Number 2, upon completion of the project, future modifications or additions to accessory uses and structures shall be subject to compliance with the zoning bylaw and may require additional review and approval by the planning board. Number 3, all lighting associated with the parking area, indoor riding arena, adjacent buildings, and exterior paddocks shall not spill or glare onto any adjoining property. Number 4, prior to the start of any on-site work, the applicant shall file for, comply with all requirements, and obtain all permits pursuant to the general bylaw, Stormwater Management and Erosion Control, Chapter 159, as required by the Department of Public Works, including all project review required by the town engineer. Number 5, prior to the start of any on-site work within the existing 61A of the property, the applicant shall have completed the relocation or removal of the 61A limits on the property. The applicant shall provide all, Melissa, I'm gonna need you to,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay. The scroll bar like disappears on me.
No, there-
Sorry.
The applicant shall provide all information and documentation required by the town assessor to ensure the town has a complete record of the revised 61A area on the property. The parking area, number 6, the parking area, indoor riding arena, adjacent building, and exterior paddocks as approved is accessory to the primary single-family residential use of the property, or may be a lawful customary home occupation. No commercial or business activity is permitted at this property. Number 7, pursuant to the general bylaw, Chapter 93, use of construction equipment, including but not limited to idling trucks, heavy earth moving equipment, materials handling equipment, logging and land clearing equipment, pumps, generators, and air compressors, powered by any internal combustion or diesel engine, air accentuated nailing guns, circular saws, drills, and the like that are utilized for the purpose of building or assembling construction materials shall only be allowed outside of any structures on Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The outdoor use of this equipment during all other hours shall be prohibited.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Katie. We'll now take a roll call vote. Katie,
Yes.
Val,
Yes?
and Carol, yes. Well, thank you very much, Scott and Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too, thank you. And Melissa, would you just do me a favor on the
Yeah.
final decision? If you
Yep.
could add the fact that there are, what was it, 7 stalls in the description, in the background information?
Yep, I took notes of all of that, Val's questions and answers, so I can add that in. Yep.
Wonderful, great, thank you.
And we'll make sure it gets captured when we put it in the minutes too.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next on the agenda is another preliminary site plan review, this time for an ADU at 53 Powasset Street. And we have Ben Portnoy and, whoops, somebody else just disappeared.
Oh,
So-
he declined. Ben, we're going to promote you to a panelist. Please don't decline. All right. Let me get my report up. Let's see. 53 Powasset. Okay. Share.
So for those that drive to the transfer station, this is the building on the right-hand side, right after you pass Powasset Farm.
Thank you, Carol. So we are here again for our second preliminary site plan review this evening. Benjamin and Ksenia Portnoy are the applicants. I've been working with Ben now for months, advising him on getting the application materials together. We are at 53 Powysset, which is in the R2 zoning district. This particular property has two existing structures, and just for point of information, the one in the front was a two-family dwelling at one point, built in the early 60s, and came offline somewhere around 2000. So we have 1,769 square foot existing structure with a garage attached to it that's 528 square feet. The ADU that they're proposing to put inside a portion of this structure will have one bedroom, one bathroom, and then a nice open area for kitchen and living accommodations. Mr. Portnoy has shared with me that he is going to be making this available to his parents, so they will be living on the property, and they will be parking in the garage that's attached to the structure. What we have here is the plot plan that was prepared and submitted with the application. I will draw folks' attention to the front here. We have the existing structure. It is non-conforming in regards to the front setback, but there are no proposals to alter or extend any of those pre-existing non-conformities. The rest of the structure, including the attached deck to the rear, meets the side and obviously rear setbacks, which is way back on the property. It's nice that it has the garage and that it's right off the street, so there's no need to travel the full driveway and or park way up at the house and walk all the way down to the front of the lot. Ben has put together a floor plan here. He was a designer, and he's done a great job in showing all the separate areas of the structure, as well as the garage and all the areas and dimensions associated with those. So just to clarify things, we highlighted the ADU in the pink color here. Where my cursor is an entryway. So if these parents are parking in the garage, they can come around and come in this way. And then they also have a secondary means of egress from the slider onto a really nice large deck that they can come in and out of the living space to enjoy. All these extra areas here are essentially storage. Some of them will be used, some of them won't, but the provisions for the ADU, as everybody knows, is capped at 900 square feet. So we made it very clear to Mr. Portnoy, no option to go from the ADU into any of these areas. They are separate and distinct, and this area is completely self-contained with only the two egress points to the exterior of the structure. Did you want to pause, Carol, to just hear from Ben before we get into our findings?
Sure, Mr. Portnoy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, we've been here for 5 years. We're very excited to be in Dover, and one of the things that drew us to the property was this unique structure, which was basically just sitting there and getting destroyed by weather. So we originally always wanted to restore it one way or another. It was used as a storage, but we finally came up together with some funds, and thanks to my parents. And we wanted to renovate it and basically keep it pretty much the same it was built. So there's very little change in the way that the structure is proposed to be fixed. Some windows, and we got rid of some rotted wood, redid the roof. All this will basically keep the structure pretty much original. So we're excited about that.
Well, thank you. It was beginning to be an eyesore, so it's wonderful that you've been able to renovate it, and I'm sure it'll look beautiful when it's all done.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a really nice building. We're also keeping the exterior done in wood, very similar to what it used to be. And we're very conscious of nature. We're very conscious of community, and that's where we are.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Melissa, back to the findings.
Yep. So we have our findings here, which talk about, as I had mentioned earlier, we look at the compliance, dimensional criteria, compliance, parking, height, all of that. Everything is compliant except noting the non-conforming setbacks that I have put here in the finding, 25.72 at the closest point, and at the furthest point, 43.63 feet. Again, no alterations to those, so no need to go to the zoning board of appeals. The existing driveway is there. They're not changing any of that. And again, just come in off the driveway and right into the garage for anybody, even visitors that are coming, or even for Ben and his family, if they want to stop in there, they can get in and out of the way. As noted by the property owner and in his narrative, they will be finishing the exterior of the structure. The roof is fairly flat, so they have to do a rubber roof per the building code. But beautiful windows have gone in. There were some pictures that Ben took of the work that's been done so far, and also going to be finishing that with the wood siding. The structure's existing, so the placement of it is pretty much there. Not much consideration was needed for tree removal and things like that, which is nice, really taking advantage of existing structures and sort of their impact on the lot and the in the neighborhood, and really trying to give some good adaptive reuse to these structures. We always prefer over additional tree removal and disturbance and things like that. Again, given that it's an existing structure, really not concerned about impacts and or disturbance to the lot. The as noted by the applicant tonight and also in the materials, this will be refinished with materials consistent with the original, and the detached ADU meets all the other requirements in the bylaw. We do have our ADU regulations. Zoning bylaw that has additional criteria above and beyond the preliminary site plan review criteria. And we've noted the compliance here, that the ADU is 860 square feet. There was a previous covenant on the property due to the other house that was there and the septic system. Mr. Portnoy did get that amended, and we have that letter in the record from the Board of Health. They're allowed up to 6 bedrooms, 5 in the main structure and 1 in the ADU. So that all checks out well. Again, using the same curb cut that's existing. Provisions for off-street parking are well addressed in the garage. The limitations of 1 ADU, that's all they're seeking at this time. I don't think he has plans for a second one. And that we have put the conditions to ensure that this will not be used as a short-term rental in compliance with the zoning bylaw. I've also prepared a suggested motion with our boilerplate conditions that reference the drawings. We deal with lighting. We also, in the event that there's any other need to pursue any permitting through the Board of Health, if that's done. The applicant has been working very closely with the building inspector, and he's been making a lot of updates to meet the code, and he's aware that he will continue to need to do that. We have referenced the plans where the parking is going to be and the square footage of the accessory dwelling unit. We have also prohibited the short-term rental. We have made it very clear. It's also on the floor plans, but in the condition that everything needs to be walls between the ADU and the rest of the structure. And one that I've added that we're going to continue to add going forward is trash disposal, and that the property owner is responsible for that. This is going to be his parents, but you know, in the future, there could be a different type of tenant, and we want to make sure that trash and recycling is appropriately handled on the property. And then we have our boilerplate, new boilerplate for the work hours. A lot of the exterior work has been done except for the siding. But nonetheless, we want to make sure that whatever happens there meets the requirements of the bylaw. And that's all I have tonight, Carol. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We actually have a situation, we've been in the habit over the last, I don't know, 6 months or so of actually reading the motions, but we don't have to do that. Thank you for that reminder, Melissa. We'll save Val's voice tonight as well. So given that it's here and it's on the screen, so for historical purposes, anybody watching this on a recording will be able to see the conditions as they exist right now. So Val, if you would just give the first part of the motion.
Okay. To approve the preliminary site plan review application for a detached accessory dwelling unit pursuant to the supporting materials and conditions contained within the staff report dated December 7th, 2025.
Do I hear a second?
Actually, I'm so sorry. Can we just change that to December 8th? I did update this
Okay.
today. I'm sorry, Val.
Okay. Do you want me to reread the whole thing?
Nope, you can just change the date.
Okay. Pursuant to supporting materials and conditions contained within the staff report dated December 8th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Wonderful, thank you, Katie. So we will take a vote. Katie?
Yes.
Val?
Yes.
And Carol, yes. Well, Ben, thank you very much. It's wonderful. I'm sure it'll be wonderful to have your parents nearby as well.
Yes, thank you so much. Everybody's so wonderful. Everybody's just fantastic in town. And, you know, I haven't met you in person, but maybe someday I will. And so thank you again.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And good luck with the construction and the move.
We'll need it. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Item, yeah. Somebody say something? Nope, okay. Item number 2E is a discussion. It's that time of year, our fiscal year 27 operating budget, and you all have the spreadsheet that has been prepared, and we have our warrant committee liaison, Simone and Nina, here tonight as well. So we look forward to answering any questions you might have. And I will let Melissa go through this. She and I have already reviewed this.
Thank you, Carol. So I've prepared a basic spreadsheet here so that the board members and our liaisons can clearly see the categories and line items in our department budget, as well as the figures that were budgeted for FY26. And then just some highlighting the items in the light peachy color represent decreases from the FY26 budget, and the items in green present an increase from the FY26 budget. The note column is basically kind of what explains those costs and what the board and the department do with those funds, and sort of covering or explaining some of those increases. So the first one is permanent staff, which is myself and Christine Brown. There has been a fairly substantial increase in the staff salaries from the FY26 budget. As you can see, it's up just about $21,000. We never carried an overtime budget, so that's still zero. The longevity has been zeroed out, so a savings of about $1,000. We do not have any staff currently that is eligible for longevity in the department. The professional services line item is $90,000. That was funded last year in the FY26 budget as well. And we are currently in the process of allocating some of those funds to assist with the writing and public process that's going to be around the tree bylaw. There was a small grant that the town has, but that's not enough money to get it done. So we'll be using some of that. And we hopefully will be using some of that for a housing production plan update. We are looking for the $90,000 again next year. I am really, as every day goes by, getting more and more familiar with the department and the town and identifying pluses, negatives, shortfalls, things we need to do, things we can do in-house, things we need help with, and really would like to be able to carry those funds to, the thing that came up with the trees. We weren't sure about that, the funding costs, and really trying to bring the planning board and the department, current with typical planning practices and making sure that our reports and initiatives stay current. A lot of these different reports and plans that the town does tie into other grants as well. So it's really important to keep things like your open space plan, your master plan, your hazard mitigation planning. All of these documents need to be continuously updated. I haven't put my arms around all of them yet, but I continue to, as a sort of a side project and running the office and whatnot, becoming more familiar with those. The legal advertisement, we carried $900. I priced out the ads. We've done a few already. They run about $400 to $450. For example, we had to advertise for the rules and regulations. So would like to carry funding to cover 3 legal notices. That would be hearings associated with town meeting and then cleanup of regulations. There's also sometimes unforeseen things that we need to advertise and would like to make sure that we're covered. I really like to have the line items line up accurately with those tasks and the items that we're going to be doing. So it's sort of a real representation of what do things actually cost. Printing, we print envelopes, we print business cards, professional printing associated with different initiatives. We're level funding that. The tuition and education. There is a planning conference every year in New England that I attend. I attended in November as well. That runs, depending on where it is, for the hotel and the conference, about $800-900. And then I have also discussed with the chair, and I'll be circulating this to some of the other land use boards as well. It's called the Citizens Planning Training Collaborative, and they run all sorts of introductory courses and webinars and things for board members. So I made some suggestions about potentially we have some members on the board now. We're going to be having some new members given the associate position and also the vacancy. So really want to try to make that available to board members. They also have a one-day conference in March out at Holy Cross that I've sent a lot of board members and other communities that I've worked with, and they really like it because everybody's a board member. So it's not a situation where you're dealing with some staff that, think they know everything and some other people. And it's really nice to hear from your other peers in other communities, other planning board members, and I don't know about you folks, but I learned from other people's questions and hearing those answers and sort of that real life application of, oh yeah, we had that situation as well. So looking to sort of increase the board's knowledge and make that available here in Dover. Office supplies, we're going to level fund at $960. That covers what we need in the office, books and periodicals. There's a whole bunch of different planning sort of updates. We have law ones, we have land use ones. We have some in the office. Some are current, some are outdated. So we'd like to try to keep as much of that current that we were to in the office. The mileage budget I increased. Dover's a pretty big town, and I'm really trying to get familiar with it. So I do a lot of driving around the community. The mileage is really high now. The reimbursement rate is 70 cents a mile. So we increased that to be able to cover site visits, going in and around about the community, looking at things when I'm made aware of a concern, whether it's from the administration or from the planning board, and also driving to and from the conference. Dues and memberships was previously funded at $400. I increased that to $500. There is something called the American Planning Association. I have been a proud member for longer than I want to admit publicly. And the dues is it's close to $500 a year, like $459 or something like that. So looking for the town to cover the cost of that membership for the town planner. So what I've done below the table here is we have an increase just over $21,000 this year, but I did a breakdown so that the board members and our liaisons are very clear on what this or where this is coming from. And out of the 8.67% increase over FY26, most of that is salary, as you can see by the percentage here. And then the other line items operating non-salary related is about a 0.5% increase over FY26. That pretty much concludes. I'm available to answer any questions, go over anything else. I did do a quick cover memo that basically outlines what I had just said. And then we can segue into the other two items that we are going to be looking forward to bringing to the May town meeting in 26 as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. I would just also note that the increase in the permanent staff number, account 5110, was of course approved by the personnel board when the job leveling was being done for bringing Melissa on board.
Thank you.
So any questions about that from planning board members or Simone or Nina?
I was going to ask actually about the approval for the salaries, and so because I think the town's trying to hold budgets to a smaller increase than 8.67, but obviously with everything else being flat, you probably couldn't have done much else with the new professionals added. And the only other question I have is for the online permitting system. Is there a budget item for that, or was that in last year's budget? How did that work?
So the online permitting is across all land use departments. So it's either in the Board of Selectmen budget or in Chris Costello's budget if he has one, but it's not in the individual departments that are using it.
Okay, hadn't known that. And then just lastly, the warrant committee has been asking all the departments to provide what they think are key performance indicators of productivity. And so just a couple bullet items when you make the report, I think would be very nice.
Of course.
To see. And I can imagine that you have more than a couple because of what you've done in the past year. So
that's retrospective. I mean, what have we done in 2026?
Yeah. And yes, I think it can be that it should be retrospective because so far I think you're in the new year. But if there are other indicators, please provide.
Great. Well, I think we had a successful town meeting, so we'll include those warrant articles in our plan
Absolutely.
for the May town meeting in 2026.
Highly productive.
Great.
Right.
Okay, super. We will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nina.
And I think for me, it's more to learn for my own education, do you guys have opportunities to apply for grants that could eventually make up for anything that you are asking today?
Yes, Val, would you like to talk about the tree committee grant?
Sure. So, we received a grant, actually a couple years ago, to help us develop, I believe it was $12,000 to help us develop a tree bylaw. We were able to extend it, and so we are using that this year, to help us get a draft of our tree bylaw that we can then bring to the town meeting, in the consecutive year after we get that draft completed. And we certainly are always looking for other additional grants that we may be eligible for. So that's definitely something we're always looking at.
That's great. Thank you. I think that Nina asked all the questions that I had anyways, so I think we are good to go.
Okay, very,
And actually, Simone, I think that was the second grant. Is that right, Carol, that our tree committee has used? We used one grant with the Carroll School
that's right.
when we first, so
When
this
you
is our
first got
second grant
started.
that we're using.
Second tree grant, yep.
Oh, that's great. Oh, actually, just to make sure that, because I was going through the budget guidance, did you guys discuss what you eventually could cut or find some savings if we have to? Have you identified those items?
Well, I would say that our professional services line is really the only thing of any substance that can be cut.
Yep.
And it would mean that we might not, a lot of the grants that we apply for are matching grants. So, so for instance, on the tree grant that Val mentioned, there's a match of, I think it's $12,000.
Yep.
Right, yeah. So it might impact our ability to get some of those grants because we wouldn't have the money to match. But it's hard to say at this point in time until you see the actual grants. There are some grants that don't require matching.
Okay,
But
great.
To Melissa's point, we have known for years and years that our zoning bylaws are woefully out of date. Don't reflect the 21st century and make it not only difficult for town government, but also for citizens of Dover to work with some of our zoning bylaws. So, fresh eyes from Melissa, she comes in with her decades of experience and taking a look at our bylaws, and she's keeping that list of all the things that need to be worked on. So it's very possible that we would want to bring in some consulting services to support a big look and revision of our zoning bylaws. And we've talked about it for 4 or 5 years. Now that we have somebody with Melissa's capabilities and experience, it's a good time to bite the bullet and address what has been substantive as well as just a general annoyance, which is the quality of our zoning bylaw.
If I could just add, Carol, that I have a long track record of getting grants and pursuing grants, even identifying grants. Maybe they're not for the planning department, but other departments in Dover, and really helping to make connections with people and facilitate other groups, not only just our department, moving forward. So if there are grants out there that I think that we have a use for and that we could be eligible for, given some of the other documents we may or may not have updated in the community, that is something that we will definitely be looking at, Simone. It's paramount to couple local funds with grant funds, whether they're state or federal funds, because that's honestly, sometimes it's the only way to get things done.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just an example of that is just within the last 2 days, working days, Melissa has been working with the Sustainability Committee to help them prepare to submit a grant, which is actually being done tonight, based on a phone call I had with the chair earlier this evening. So, and that could not have happened if it hadn't been for Melissa's support of looking at the grants and helping them do the submission.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, so that's the budget. If there are no more questions on the budget, let's talk about the warrant articles. The warrant is open and it closes in January. right after, I think, our first meeting. So Melissa has sent in the packet a memo about possible warrant articles. As we all remember, these are, at this point early on, these can be either specific or just placeholders as you work.
Yes,
So-
thank you, Carol. So the first item in the memo was the budget that we just reviewed in the spreadsheet. The second item that we're going to be looking at and seeking funding for is to update the master plan. So the master plan is older. The most recent update was in 2012. I would have called that update kind of like a little refresh. The way that master plans, they used to be very text heavy, very kind of long-winded documents, and the new face of master plans these days in Massachusetts contain a lot of graphics. They contain a lot of pictures. They identify with a format that is more user-friendly to everybody in the community, not just planners who know the jargon and know the cool words to say and where to say them. So I have started to reach out, not formally through procurement, obviously, because we don't have any funding, but just getting some ballpark prices for master plans. And it's really dependent on the level of public participation. Even Zoom, doing things on Zoom has a cost savings versus a whole team of consultants coming out to the community, and travel time and printing things and production and things like that. So I'm putting $175,000 in right now. I'd like to get a few more prices so I can get a better understanding. And then I've just included, for those that aren't familiar with master plans, what they are and what components are addressed in a master plan. And the general guidance, although it's not a hard and fast law or regulation, is that they be updated every 10 years. So most communities, they'll do a nice update and really bring the master plan into sort of the current way that they look and feel. And then all that data is so new that you can just do updates from there. Sometimes every 5 years, sometimes every 10. But we really need to bring our master plan into this century. I will have a much more detailed memo with a lot more information to bring forward to the planning board at the January 5th meeting and for a vote. And then we can submit their due by January 8th to the town administrator selectman's office.
So just on this article, I've also suggested to Melissa that we have an open space and recreation plan that is in the process of being completed. It got started before COVID, so it's been a 6-year process, and hopefully it will get done this spring. We're very close to it. That includes a lot of information that will flow into a master plan as well. The housing production plan that we talked about relative to our professional services budget is also gives us a foundation for addressing some of the housing aspects of the master plan. And of course, we have the work that's going to be done by Judy Barrett for the Dover Housing Task Force. So part of Melissa's effort is going to be really taking a look at those documents and seeing how it relates to what we need and whether there's any synergy there and savings of funds because all these documents are getting updated right now as well. So, but again, we know it was successful with the community, with the MBTA, to Melissa's point about public outreach and so forth. And that's very, very important. And that tends to be the expensive part of these things.
Carol, if we are successful at getting these funds at town meeting, which I hope we are, when the procurement documents go out, the request for proposals, typically what I do and have done is list and include all of the current plans that we have, so the consultants that are bidding on this proposal submitting responses to this proposal have an idea of, okay, what have they done? What haven't they done? And what level are we going to need to get into? Again, we're not looking to recreate wheels that took maybe 6 or 7 years to get created. But again, it's important that we cover the statutory requirements outlined in the general law.
Yep. No, we've talked about this for a couple of years, so it's very exciting to see a possibility of it actually happening. Desperately needed.
If I may move on, the second item is going to be completed in-house by yours truly. Taking a deep dive into the site plan review and really looking to clean that up, clarify this, and really make sure that it's distinct processes for our accessory structures in residential districts versus a full-blown site plan review. For example, a large-scale solar array, and really understanding the difference in those and making sure that our bylaw also reflects that. So I'll be sitting down with Carol with a rough draft next week, and we will be working towards having something ready to discuss in the early spring, very early spring, maybe end of winter. Never know in New England.
Well, I know that Jody had the opportunity to spend some time chatting with you about her thoughts about specifics of site plan review, and just to Val and Katie as well, to please share your thoughts with Melissa as she begins the process of creating this. I think it will be more efficient for everybody rather than sharing your thoughts after the first draft, though, you know, it's obviously going to be a reiterative process as well.
I'm happy to. I'm looking forward to it. This looks very exciting. I'd love to help you out or assist in any way I can, Melissa.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Katie. Melissa, I would like to add one placeholder warrant article.
Okay.
We did it last year at the request of the building department. It was administrative updates to various zoning bylaws. Just as you keep a list of various things, the building department does as well of areas that need to be either redefined or clarified, more common type issues that they find residents are coming in with to the building department. So you can get the wording from the placeholder last year.
Okay.
And talk, if you would just talk
I
to
will.
Walter and John about whether they have any as well, and you probably have some as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
Anything else for possible warrant articles? Valerie or Kate? Val or Kate? Nope. Okay. We will now go on to the next item, which is the
Excuse me, Carol. Along with the budget packet that was sent out by Christopher Costello is this other form where it lists the board and the amounts, and then it has everybody sign those, all the board members. If I'm out of line, just let me know. But if we could maybe vote this evening to allow me to submit this, and if the board is comfortable with having just Carol sign that form, I just want to keep this moving.
Oh, absolutely. Is that okay with Val and Katie?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yep, it's fine with me.
Okay, so Melissa, would you like us to, I will make a motion to approve a fiscal year 27 budget of $263,207. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor, Katie?
Yes, favor.
Carol? Yes.
And Carol, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next item is the town report, the annual report. So I've taken a pass at this. It's just basically the town report committee asked that we update, so it's not a total rewrite, though there's parts of it that are new. And I hope you've had a chance to look at it. I went through all the minutes starting last January. Boy, were we busy. What an incredibly productive year. I mean, I know it was a busy year, but until you go back and start looking at all the minutes and all the site plan reviews and the A&Rs and so forth and so on, I just have to say, what a fantastic board that we've had, and congratulations to you all. It's just been a calendar year that was just chock full of really good stuff. So thank you all for that. So this is the draft. Val will be, as she has done in the past 2 years, add the section on the tree committee, and she'll get that to Melissa sometime, I think, before the holidays, I hope.
Trying, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you all had a chance to look at it in a granular way, but I wish that you would, and fresh eyes as well. If you see anything that that we missed, or that needs clarification, or different nouns or verbs, please just let me know. But I hope to get this put together, to bed, and voted on at our first January meeting as a final. Okay, well, thank you for that. And now, appointment to the tree committee. Val.
Yes, thank you. I don't know, Melissa, if Shobha is on the call this evening.
Let me check. Hold on for 1 second. I just had no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Let's see. Oops. I think do you have the memo that you can pull up, or should I pull it up?
Give me 1 second. I have so many things open.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have it like right there?
I think I do.
I wasn't sure what we were gonna.
Yep. I mean, I don't know if we need it to pull it up. But I'm happy to try.
It was in number 2.
Share. Okay. Oh, I guess I have to send you a request to share. Am I able to share, Melissa?
You should be. I allowed you, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Give me 1 second. Okay, so on November 18th, the tree committee voted unanimously to support Shobha Frey, who is a resident of Dover. She and her family have lived here, oh gosh, I think probably 12 years or more. I knew her from quite a while ago when her children were at the Chickering Elementary School. She has been a volunteer in the community in numerous capacities, and recently kind of stepped away from her career and is taking up some new opportunities within our community. And one of them is to volunteer on our tree committee. So she has been learning about sustainability and climate risk. She's taken a course on it and has really become quite passionate about helping Dover in whatever way she can to build our resiliency, which she recognizes is largely about trees. So on the 18th, we were able to nominate and vote to support her appointment to our board. And so we're asking for the planning board this evening to formally appoint Shobha Frey to the Tree Preservation Committee. We have 2 open seats right now, so she would be taking one of them, and the end of her appointment would be, I believe, November 21st, 2026. And that is when all of the members of the Tree Preservation Committee would then be reappointed.
I would also add that Shoba was also appointed and voted onto the Open Space Committee. And she attended our Open Space Committee last week and was immediately a very valued member. So I look forward to having her on the tree committee as well.
Yeah, I mean, already she has been able to give me some really great feedback and has, offered to assist with a couple different initiatives that we were working on. So I'm really excited that she has so much energy to bring to our committee.
So with that, any questions to Val about Shoba? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take a vote. All those in favor of appointing Shoba to the tree committee with an expiration date in 2027, right? Or 2026,
November of
2026.
2026. Yeah.
2026. We'll have all the members on the same schedule.
Yes.
So Val,
Yes.
Katie,
Yes.
and Carol, yes. That's wonderful.
Yes. Thank you. I'm really pleased that she's joining us.
That's great. So now we'll go to the town planner updates. And I'm going to put myself on mute because I have to try to get a hold of Nick Baum and find out where he is. So I'm just going to mute myself, and Melissa, you can go.
Folks can just bear with me for a second here. Okay. Okay, should be able to share. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so updates from the town planner. Well, the number one update is Christine is with us now. That's further down on the list. So the floodplain stuff, there hasn't been, can everybody that's not speaking, I don't know, so I'm getting some weird feedback. I don't know.
I think it's Carol.
Oh, there we
I
go.
just muted Simone. I thought it might have been her. Okay. Sorry about that. So no new updates on the floodplain stuff since the last meeting. The ADU updates and the for the annual town meeting last year is what we had on the agenda this evening. So that's done and completed. Nothing new on the Wilson's Way easements. We're still waiting on 2 of the 4. The accounting training is a work in progress. My understanding is that I think they hired a new accountant. So hopefully, Christine and I can get a little bit of assistance. We did deposit some checks, so we are making headway there on the accounting front. The MBTA compliance application, that is going to be done by the end of this week. I received all the shape files from Horsley Witten, so we have everything that we need to submit in our possession. The OpenGov is live. We got our first online application submitted on Friday, so Christine and I went through it today. It's definitely user-friendly. It's definitely easy to navigate, but just interesting. You know, I won't get into details, but this particular application, there's all these different things that you have to upload: your site plan, your narrative, your deed. And this particular person decided to take a Word document and type, "This information isn't available at this time," and upload it to almost every single attachment that was required in the application. So he got a nice email through the system. So excited that it's up and running. Perfect timing because Christine's here and it's new. It's not something that we've been using for a long time. And so we've been sitting together and she pointed out some things today. The applications are all done. There's still some minor tweaks and sort of things that we need to address that Jason's helping us with relative to the online portal. No updates on the SHI. I don't have any updates on Trout Brook. I don't know, Robin, if you have anything new. The last was we appeal the housing appeals decision to, I believe it was the Superior Court. These things take a long time. I've been involved with some appeals and it's a lot of waiting to, unfortunately, 9 out of 10 times hear what we've already heard. Bylaw cleanup, we talked about that today. Again, the primary focus for me is the site plan review for right now. Really want to do a good job on that one, and it's going to take some time and concentration. Interviews, like I said, those are done. We hired Christine. Future applications, I am currently working, currently working with Hale Reservation. I've been working with them since September. They're coming in this week. I had initially reached out to Chair Hunter about having a joint meeting. We have this, you got to go to the planning board when you're open space district, and go selectmen and, 6, half dozen, let's try to have a joint meeting. So they're coming in, we'll see where they're at. And then I'll reach out to the appropriate folks to see if we can nail that down. 3 Claybrook Road, hopefully they'll be ready to go for January. And then we have a ADU application for 18 Meadowbrook Road that will also be heard in January. Kind of a big gap this month because of the holiday. So we have almost a month between the 2 meetings. Just so that the board is aware, actually that happened on 54 Farm. When that happens and we're not able to address something in 30 days, I get a written extension from the applicant and I file that with the application. So it's on file with the town clerk. So we're not chasing deadlines due to holiday observations. The budget, we presented that this evening. That will be, thank you to the board for supporting that and the motions. And that will be inputted into Vadar, which is our accounting software. The articles, we discussed those this evening, and the additional one, added by the chair for the master plan, the site plan review overhaul, and the administrative items. Town report. Thank you, Carol. She completely took that on and did her magic, which is very helpful to me. So we will, any comments, please send them along and we will get those into the draft and we can vote on that. Office organization is in full swing. We're looking at files, we're looking at processes, we're redoing the bus book. Christine is already diving into a lot of these things. There's only so many hours in a day and we want those to be productive and we want to be working on things that are going to be advancing the community, whether it's street protection, bylaws, master plans, and, moving away from filing things and making folders of things that we're not doing anything with. So really trying to clean things up. We're also going to be working on an application log. That's going to be an ongoing project for Christine to identify all the applications in the office and have a log book of those applications so we can quickly identify if an issue comes up. we have something on that. We have a condition. We have whatever it might be, an old document, an easement, whatever it is. We need to be able to identify these things for historical information related to the zoning of properties and what's happened over the course of time. So lots on that end. If there's anything that the board members like or don't like, or why do we do this, or can we get rid of that, or what, can you add this, Melissa? Just shoot me an email, give me a phone call. Again, we're just trying to be outward and serve the board and the community the best that we can. So that's a work in progress. And the housing task force, which is probably my favorite part of my job so far. Always had a passion for housing, and really understanding how that works in different communities and how we can best serve our residents. So I've been sending all sorts of stuff to Judy, waiting on a few things. The more things that I find, waiting on something from Janet on their regulations. And then she will likely have most of the stuff that she needs to complete our housing study. So looking forward, I think we're regrouping with her next week. And more to come on that, obviously, as well. So that's all I have on the update. I had said to Carol, I want to add more to this. I'm just busy now. And I'm like, should I stop and write down what I'm going to do, or should I just do it? So if there's something that's missing, or you're like, that's a little light, or you want more information on, just tell me. I'm happy to, amend anything. I think maybe the priority column is just going to have H on it going forward, as everything's a high priority. But happy to adjust, add things, take things off, talk more, shut up, whatever the board is looking for. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you. Any questions for Melissa? Okay, thank you, Melissa. I just have, I really don't have much of an update either. That's the next item on the agenda. I would just note that I hope you all saw the social media and the newsletter communications about our sign bylaw. This is, part of the issue that was raised a couple of meetings ago, that there has been a proliferation of all kinds of signs on Dover's roads, which are in conflict with the philosophy of our sign bylaw. So Chris Costello and Suzanne, I think, did a great job, and really thank them for so quickly getting on this, putting together the flyers and the various communications. And please give some thought to, now that we have professional staff doing this, please give some thought to how we might make this a more regular basis to educate the community on some of the things that the planning board has been doing and that's of concern. And just give those thoughts to Melissa, and we'll see what we can do about being a little bit more visible and that type of thing. Tomorrow night at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, the Board of Selectmen will be voting on the site plan review recommendation that the planning board made on January 27th of 2025 relative to the fuel storage depot and its relocation at the highway garage site. So if any of you are interested in reliving those 4 to 5 hours of meetings that we had over 3 meetings, you can watch the Board of Selectmen's meeting tomorrow night. That will then go, of course, on to the Capital Budget Committee and just go through that whole town meeting process to be voted on at town meeting. And that's all I have for an update. So before we get into some interviews, we have one more substantive item, and that is the approval of the minutes of November 17th. It is with the utmost pleasure that I make a motion to approve these minutes, as I'm hoping that these are the last minutes that I'm going to be writing for the planning board for some time. Thank you, Christine. Any comments or edits to the minutes of November 17th? In that case, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of November 17th as submitted. Let's take a vote. Val?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
And Carol, yes. Okay. And now the fun part of the evening. So we were fortunate to get so many great applications for our two open positions. We interviewed two at the last meeting, and tonight we're going to interview two more. Sarah Soska, who had applied, informed me over the weekend that she, due to other circumstances, has to withdraw her application. So we will have four candidates for the two spots. And both of them are in. Eric Aberjali and Nicholas Bohm was there a minute ago. I don't know what happened to him.
He's been promoted, Carol, and I just
Okay, fine.
promoted Eric. Yep.
Okay, great. Okie doke. So great, thank you, Nick. And Eric is that Zoom user?
No.
Nope.
Oh, that's Nina.
Ah,
Yes, it is the mystery.
that's right.
There we
That's right.
go.
There we go. Okay, we're going to start with Eric. Let me just get my act together here. Here we go. So just for both of you, first of all, thank you very much. Our process is to do the 4 interviews, and we will then be voting at our meeting in January. So I hope you'll be able to attend that. That's January 5th. And our process is basically spend 15 or 20 minutes asking you some questions, having you talk to us, and just getting to get to know you better and a better understanding of how you view the town of Dover and a role on the planning board and so forth. So thank you both very much. And Simone, thank you for attending, Simone. Simone has just had to sign off. So Eric, welcome.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity.
So would you just like to give us a sort of a quick rundown of who you are and your time in Dover?
All right, Eric Aberjali. I've been in Dover since 2008, where my wife and I were just having been married and starting a family. We were looking for towns to move to because we were in Brookline in a 2-story walk-up. After looking at a lot of different towns, we found a house in the Glenridge neighborhood, fell in love with the neighborhood. That house didn't work out, found another one and made an offer as quickly as we could and moved into Dover. It was the first place we sort of felt like home because it had just a nice small town feel. It had the land and environment that we liked and were looking for. Although we knew it had good schools, that wasn't our primary focus for being. It was really just the feeling of the town itself. Since we've been here, we've both been involved in the town in a variety of volunteering positions. I've coached kids sports for several years. My wife, Dina, worked chairing the fall festival for several years down on the green. In addition to that, we both are volunteer in other roles. I mean, I serve on the boards of our ski club, a yacht club, and also just got elected to the board of governors in a community in Rhode Island that we're a part of. As to my experience, I've been involved, and our family's been involved in real estate my entire life, but I've been in and out of real estate endeavors. For the 10 years in 2000s, I worked actually in real estate market consulting down in the Philadelphia market area. So had a lot of exposures to development, new development, good development, bad development, what the differences were, and how sometimes development, it does not always mean just like from a developer standpoint, the highest and best use is not always the densest or the most units per acre. It sometimes has to do with the aesthetics of it, and how you more carefully use the land to maximize the potential of it. From Dover standpoint, I also served on the Springdale committee when the parcel of land came available through a 40B process. The town exercised its right to buy the property and served on the committee to help make a decision as to how the town could best use that property. And probably the most interesting component of that was when we surveyed the town, we had a very good response to it. And there were detailed responses with a lot of actually handwritten comments. And it was very interesting to see just how the people viewed people viewed the town and what they hoped the town could be or wouldn't be. And this was very, very, very interesting. What happened with Springdale? I had different ideas about it. I actually felt that we talked about the housing initiative. I think that could have been a good place for us to have potentially taken the reins by taking the control of that, given that 40B, we're continually under the threat of that in this town. And I thought that potentially had the opportunity to serve in that, but we chose other means and left it as conservation land, which is still an excellent application. What's interesting is though, when the new owners turned the house the way they did, that was how I envisioned a development happening, with covering the front of the property and having everything behind it so you'd never see it from the roads. It would not have changed the appearance of that street at all, but would have allowed us to, as a town, to begin to address the 40B threat that we were all under. So.
Okay, well, thank you, Thornton. And just for purposes of transparency, Eric and I worked together on the 46 Springdale. I was a selectman at the time, so I do know Eric from that. So Eric, I hope you've seen a little bit in your research before tonight about the types of things that the planning board is looking at, what our priorities are and goals are over the next couple of years. Could you talk a little bit about how you see our work on zoning and housing and the village center and so forth, how you view that?
The MBTA Act was handled brilliantly by the board. In the sense of it took a situation, again, the same way that 40B is a threat for changing the character of the town. That allowed us to respond to the state's requirements in a way that answered their needs, but also protected the character of Dover. I think that the small town feel of Dover is something to be cherished. It's again what sort of brought us here and it's what we like, and I like to see that preserved. I also acknowledge the fact that you can't stop development in its entirety. It's going to happen, and so what you can do to try and minimize the change or the impact it has on the character of the town. And looking at like the village center idea, I talked about how in the years that I was working in real estate consulting, we did a lot of where we looked at a lot of developments, and so many of the larger ones had to have a village center because it provides a core of the town. The Carroll Community Center is a great foundation piece of that right now. Any kid who's in Chickering who has a Wednesday early release now wants to go to town and going to the Carroll Community Center or the other places in town like the library. So the kids are starting to take more advantage of the downtown. My son in 6th grade wants to go to the Carroll Community Center to play basketball with kids. So that idea of trying to have a focal point for the people of the community to go to is great. So the idea of the village town center is something to obviously of great appeal. How we get there is going to be the challenge. There are some parcels that are owned by the town and a lot of private ownership. And so how do you meld those all together into a coherent plan? To be part of that is interesting and exciting. A lot of the other work I know you do is, preservation of trees along some of the scenic roads. I know that last couple of meetings, there's been some concern about how that's been handled. The Stonewall, just all the things that sort of made Dover that was appealing to us, want to see preserved as much as possible.
Thank you for that. No, thank you. Val and Katie?
Wow, you just seem incredibly overqualified for this position, so it's really nice. I've got a lot of experience. I think the only question I just had is, you said you were in development. Was it in Philadelphia? I was just curious what you.
I wasn't in development. We were market researchers. We're actually working for home builders and developers.
Oh, market. So you were a researcher. Okay, I was just curious.
We're doing research. So, in my role, I often had to for a given project, survey all the different like new home communities that were going in, to help a developer come up with a workable plan. And you can see where in those instances, again, the highest and best use is not necessarily putting 50 homes on a plot of land just because you can. It might mean just putting 10, but doing it more tastefully, in a way that it still tries to keep, because a lot of these are actually horse communities, very similar to what Dover is, in a lot of open space, and to try and still capture the essence of what was there without just changing its character.
Oh, okay. That's great. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's interesting. Thank you.
Val?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any questions necessarily, but Eric, I don't know if you're familiar with like natural resource protection zoning. That's one of the things that we've taken a look at in the past. And with the tree committee, we are always looking at ways that we can preserve trees. So I'm just interested to know if maybe you're familiar with any of the resource protection type zoning.
My familiarity is probably most closely associated with conservation and watershed, only because my family owns properties that are under those guidelines. So I've unfortunately had to become intimately familiar with some of those regulations. So
sounds great. Thank you.
But as to the more, I'll say, aesthetic, like the trees and the stone walls, I know we have those facilities in the town as part of what we've done through bylaws, and the effort to try and strengthen them and make it, and at this point, even just the education process of making sure everybody knows that they exist, and that's a problem. After I was going through some of the previous meetings, with the sign variances, I just went around and actually measured some of the other builders in town as well, just to see if they were in compliance. So I'm getting more familiarized with it just because I have to.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Well, if you found any that aren't, please let Melissa know.
Trust me. I mean, there's two. Well, actually, there's several noticeable ones right now, but I think I think of the four that I know of, two were definitely in compliance. One I had to measure, and then we know about the fourth one not being in compliance.
There you go. Well, you've certainly talked a lot about your view of the attributes of Dover, and I'm certainly that any of us that have lived here for a while, and I've been here since 1978, would agree with those attributes. But as the planning board, especially now that we have Melissa on board, that we can really start looking to the future and trying to preserve those attributes, and addressing what might be flaws or weaknesses in Dover. So do you see any obvious areas of that need to be addressed versus the attributes that need to be saved?
Need to be addressed. I mean, I think, with the fact that we now have the housing task force to try and come up with affordable housing, which allows us to ward off some of the 40B, or gives us greater ability to do that, is great. How we're able to maintain that over time is going to be a challenge, because we still have to produce the proper amount of units on a regular basis in order to sustain that. Dover is a challenge to develop in a larger scale, just because of the natural resource limitations, the amount of groundwater, the septic requirements, I think the current restriction against combined septic facilities, where you cannot have a septic plant, if you will, versus an individual septic system. are all strengths for us, because it just makes it that much harder for someone to come in and dramatically change the town through development. Don't know if I have any more to add to that right now.
No, that's great. Thank you. Well, Eric, this has been very helpful. Thank you very much. Appreciate your thoughts and
Well,
comments.
I appreciate your time and the opportunity. Thank you.
And we have Nick here, and I need to apologize for Nick. There was a lack of communication. And when I put myself on mute and called him, he was available, fortunately. So here he is. I don't know if he had much time to prepare.
No, I was
Nick.
not at all. And it's great to see everyone this evening and meet you all. I did have the evening blocked off. I had actually mentioned to my wife, MK, I was like, tonight was that Dover Planning Committee meeting. I was like wondering. So it was top of mind, and I was expecting it's great to be here and speaking with everybody.
Wonderful. So I'll ask you the same general questions that we asked Eric as well. So if you just tell us a little bit more about yourself, we do have the paperwork, if you will, that you did send to us.
Perfect. Yes. So I've lived in Dover since 2017. My wife and I moved here to Church Street from California, where I'd been working for a real estate investment firm focused on the preservation of affordable housing across the country. And since moving here, I've continued to be employed in the same profession, where we acquire, rehabilitate, and preserve affordable housing all over the United States. I actually did change jobs 3 years ago to go work for Related Companies, which is the developer of Hudson Yards in New York and a lot of the life science buildings downtown. I don't do any of that work. I remain part of the Related Affordable family, but obviously access to a lot of different resources as a result of that connection, and able to see and be a part of a lot of the conversations happening today within the broader Commonwealth and the city in regards to housing crisis that we face. I saw a statistic the other day that Massachusetts is 49th in population growth of last year. And, obviously a lot of that is due to the high cost of living, that we face. But, just going back a step here, we have 3 kids in the Chickering schools, and they're all at Chickering, 5th, 2nd, and kindergarten. They've been there the whole time. They're all on the same bus this year, which we love. And, I think when I it was funny, in the first 6 months, I actually got to know Jack Donahue pretty well. His daughter, Tara, lived across the street from us when we first moved in. He actually did the real estate legal papers for our house when we moved over to Tubrek a couple of years ago. And I said to him, I was like, Jack, it seems like, the 2 big things in Dover are land and schools. And, that's just what I heard here too, is, land and schools are, really what draws a lot of the residents here. And, certainly things that we want to maintain, right? Because that helps us maintain the fabric and culture of the town, and obviously a place that we want people that are living in Brookline or in the city and looking for this type of opportunity to gravitate towards. And excited about the opportunity to, potentially be involved with helping steward Dover into the next chapter of continuing to be able to focus on the preservation of its land and schools, while also navigating some of the broader challenges across the Commonwealth that we face, with whether it's the MBTA communities or 40B or all of the other different restrictions. And be where I don't, there'll be a lot of talk of it this year, but there's going to be a ballot initiative for statewide rent control that is put on in November. And, I'm currently hearing all about it in, my biweekly meetings. I don't think it's made a lot of the news yet, but certainly something to be mindful of at a broader level for us all. And really the reason that I would love to be involved in something like this is to give back to the town and be a part of helping make these decisions with some of the background that I have, and be thoughtful about how we're using resources and moving them forward. Also represent a growing demographic of younger families. I think from the most recent data I've seen, Dover has had an influx of younger families come in, and for the opportunity to present that cohort would be humbled and honored. So,
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for your compliment on what we've been doing and where Dover is. I mean, you've heard about the types of stuff we're looking at. It's not just housing.
sure.
And the master plan effort, I think is an exciting one for all of us. Many of us say that we didn't run for elections so that we could approve pool cabanas. We ran so that we can help shape and preserve the future of Dover. So I think we're finally going to be able to start doing that kind of work now that we're fully staffed in the office. And that's, I think, very exciting to all of us.
Absolutely. Yes. That's great.
Val and Katie, any comments or thoughts or questions to Nick?
Oh, I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Katie.
No, I went first last time. You can go, Val.
Okay. So thank you, Nick, for being here this evening. I know Nick and his family through Chickering, so I'm thrilled that he's here. So for me, being part of the Tree Preservation Committee, as it's kind of been spoken about a couple times, this evening, we are always looking to find ways to keep Dover looking like Dover. And I appreciate some of your work. It sounds that you are also looking at, when you're looking at affordable housing preservation, trying to also kind of maintain what is available. And I'm maybe assuming that you're also looking to not make radical changes in a community, but just to have gentle incremental changes. So I didn't know if you could kind of speak to any of that type of work that you've done in the past, how you've tried to work with fitting into the communities where you're building.
Absolutely. No, great question. So yeah, my my specific practice, I am really doing everything I can to maintain the existing character of whatever property I have an opportunity to take on, enhance it, revitalize it, bring it back to or go beyond what it previously was from a functionality standpoint of its intended use. Everything I'm acquiring is an existing affordable housing property that typically has gone through deferred maintenance, is up against physical obsolescence challenges, and oftentimes is an opportunity for us to really change the character and the perspective of a community back to, or in some cases from, what was originally thought of as blighted or neglected or low threshold, and be a positive contributing factor within a community. We acquired a property in Mattapan earlier this year, largest market rate community in Mattapan. We're able to convert it with a deed restriction from the Mayor's Office of Housing to rent and income restricted housing right on a commuter rail stop that goes into downtown in 15 minutes. But a huge part of that was understanding, speaking with the local residents. No one had engaged the advocacy group. The mayor had been out there picketing with the residents for years about these crazy rent increases, but just having a conversation with them to understand what was important to them and put that on paper and work with the city. And, ultimately, the number one priority of all stakeholders was anti-displacement of existing residents. Yes, they were talking about we want rent and, income control, but way above that was just making sure everyone can continue to live there, keep it affordable, invest into the community. And, ultimately we're able to put that together by talking to all the various parts of the city of Boston, including the mayor and the assessor's office and all the different divisions, Mayor's Office of Housing, Boston Housing Authority, BPDA, and coming up with a strategy that made sense. So, I look, for me, the first step is like engaging all of the community stakeholders and understanding what we're truly solving for before putting forward a strategy. I think in Dover, what I see is, by and large, land and schools are important, but within our town character, right? Like, if you go to, like, that Dunkin' Donuts used to be a depot, right? There used to be a train stop that would take you to New York and Boston and New Haven, right? I mean, that's why that grocery store existed for as long as it has, right? I mean, I don't think any of us on this call can look each other in the eye and say, like, yeah, I want a discount liquor store as my one, grocery, right? I mean, I think we could do better, right? And I think that there are small, impactful changes. I've actually talked to Gorka Bravo. He's the current owner of that land. He bought it for like $4 million in 2017. I mean, he's waiting us out. He thinks we have to put in town sewer so we can go build some multifamily there. And I just think there are higher and better uses for that are within the, broader context of, the town of Dover. But there needs to be, like, what the work we did at the community center, is amazing, right? It's great. I mean, that's going to be such a used space by all of us. But if there was just one other place where you could have like an ad hoc, impromptu, but like somewhat private meeting with a coffee, right? Because Dunkin's kind of like a hallway, right? When you're going in there, it's like tough to say, I'm going to meet you at Dunkin' Donuts. That where we can have that type of just like community impact, get together, have those types of meetings. I think that would go a long way and, get building traffic and just like flow of people so that they can support a business, right? I mean, Dover Kitchen, I think it has to like continue limiting its hours because, they're not getting a lot of the traffic that they were hoping to. And I mean, I totally understand, that is the decision they're making. But I do think that there is enough traffic that goes through our one stoplight where, you should be able to get people to stop and support a business. And I think those are the types of enhancements I would love to be a part of it, helping think about, right? How do we bring these resources to bear to make these meaningful updates so people start discovering Dover again, right? I mean, you want to attract people to the town center to say, oh, wow, like, this is so interesting. Like, other than, it being some type of specific pass through, there's Powasset Farm is such an amazing resource. I live close to that. And, having other opportunities, I think that actually has better hours than Dover Market, if I need to run out and grab something. So, I think there's a lot of ideas on that thread that I think could be impactful. And also, the one other thing in terms of like preserving open space, my sons are starting to get really involved in flag football. They've gotten really into flag football as this growing sport and popularity. Being able to find fields, beyond just the new amazing turf we've put in, at risk of like, I think turf is a huge asset. I think there's a lot of benefits to, from an environmental impact standpoint that, you see it across California, where that can have a really meaningful impact, lower maintenance costs, lower costs in the town as a result of putting it in. If it's done the right way, that also breeds community, right? And that sense of pride, and that we don't have to go to Walpole or Medfield or Needham or Natick to go play our sports. We can have our own Dover town, sports here. Field hockey, my wife is a huge coach for our daughters in 5th grade. She's been coaching her. She used to coach at Dana Hall, where she went. Before the kids got old enough to play on their own, and she's on the board for lacrosse and field hockey. Would love to continue to develop those programs and, make that another meaningful component of the town of Dover. So I think those are all things I see, at least, within my cohort, that are meaningful to us in terms of things that would really elevate Dover, continue to invest in land and schools, but those ancillary items and breeding, no one's going to replace live, right? Like, no one's going to replace human interaction. I don't care what AI does, right? The opportunity to connect with people directly and in person, if anything, it's just going to increase the value of that. And so having a town center that allows for that with all these different types of spaces I think are what I would hope to elevate and, continue to enhance and preserve for Dover.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Well, this has been great, and I appreciate the two of you coming on. And we will be getting out an email to you about the specifics of our next meeting, which will be that first Monday in January. And I think at this point, I'll have Melissa just very briefly explain the process that we're going to use for voting at our January meeting, without getting into all the granular stuff, which we'll do on that night as well. But once again, thank you to Eric and Nick. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
So at the January meeting, recommendations are going to be that planning board members, we have 4 potential candidates, would make nominations for the associate member and also for the full member, and narrowing that pool down to 2 individuals, one for the associate and one for the full member. The actual process for appointment is through a joint appointment, not only by the planning board, but also by the Board of Selectmen. So I will be reaching out to the selectmen. Also, we have a meeting on January 5th. The planning board does, whether or not they're able to attend, so that the nominations could be made and the vote could be made subsequent to that. And then the selectmen are meeting on January 8th. So there's going to be discussion about when post nominations from the planning board, when the planning board members and select board members can get together to make the formal appointments. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, I just want to remind Eric and Nick that these appointments are only through the town election, the 3rd Monday of May, and you will have to go through the town caucus process, as well as the town election process. And should you get appointed by the planning board and the selectmen for this interim position, we'll go through that the follow-on process in a lot more detail. So you're absolutely sort of schooled on the government process of becoming a planning board member in a more permanent way. So again, thank you both gentlemen for coming on tonight and sharing your thoughts. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. It's great meeting everyone. Thank you.
So anything else before we adjourn the meeting? Happy holidays.
You as well.
Yes.
Enjoy December, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Please let Melissa know your thoughts on site plan review, bylaw amendments, and philosophies and so forth. And let me know if there's anything in the town report that you see that needs an update, an addition, or an edit. And have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. Let's hope for some good skiing, which has already started nice and early.
It's good.
It's good. Have you had a chance to ski yet?
I have.
Aha.
Great.
I have. Not enough, but I have.
That's good. Well, I hope the skiing's a little bit better than it was last year. So thank you, everyone. Happy holidays. I'm going to take a vote to adjourn the meeting at 9:20. Val?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
And Carol, yes. So there you go. Thank you very much. Great meeting, folks.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.